You want to come and say something? Okay, come. Thank you.
I've been watching that everything's being watched.
Yeah.
But I want to know what is watching that.
Yeah.
So I see fear, and then I see it go. Sometimes I purchase it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes there's peace. It's all passing. So who's the one that's seeing that it's passing? And even now, who's the one that's observing that I'm nervous about asking this question or talking to you?
All of these questions are good, except that you put yourself in the position of the mind. Now, don't put yourself in the position of the mind. Ask the same question, but identify yourself as consciousness. It feels confusing. Everything that you speak is true. I'm seeing all of this. Everything is happening. Even this question being presented and what the question is trying to find out, all of this is also in front of me. But I still want to know, who am I who is doing this thing? But if the one who is asking, I want to know who is doing the watching, if this is only offered to the mind, or is based upon the idea that you're holding on to an idea that there's me and I want to know, and I say, who is the I that wants to know this thing? Because even the I who wants to know this thing is also seen. The feeling of I is still the sense of me who wants to know this. But even the sense of me is known in this. It cannot be known phenomenally. Nobody, including God, can give you an answer and says, listen, it is the self. The self? What is the self? It's you. It's you who are asking these questions. I want to know who it is. It's you. I want to know who is the one behind all of this, that sees everything, including myself asking this question. And if you gave the most beautiful answer and I go, wow, it's so fantastic, that also is seen. Then who is seeing it? It's you. But not the personality you. You are the self. It is seen. You can call that consciousness if you want. It is seen. But when I say you now, I mean you beyond you. You without you. What kind of you is that? This you less you. What kind of you is that? It's not the one that has been cultured, that has a story, that this is my parents, and I used to be a Buddhist, now I'm sort of like, I'm this, and not this, because this was never you. This was only the masks you put on. So identities you wore for a while, which you cannot keep wearing. They have to keep change as impelled by life. But all of them, you see, behind them is one who has no face. You look in the mirror at 5 years old, brushing your teeth. Mommy, I got, my teeth is shaking. Okay, next one, 10 years old. Another looking 15. Another kind of like, and then 20 or whatever. We are going like this, and each time you say, "This is how you look. This is me right now." And yet, which of these over all this time, or which of them is the most you? Everything is changing. Something that changing face is not true. It's the verb of you, not the noun of you. Something watches all these changes. It cannot be known. By whom is it going to be known? When all knowledge is in front of it, and even the possibility or the play of ignorance also it sees, which is, like everything is in front. Everything happens in the consciousness that you are. And you see everything that is on the desktop of the consciousness, and you also see the consciousness. You also know this is the functioning of consciousness. Just like now you say, we are all sitting here together in the waking state. Something is aware of waking state. Then somehow the face, something starts going, think, oh yes, sleep is coming. Then watching sleep coming also. It is not touched by sleep or dreaming or waking. You must know what that is. You cannot know what that is. Nobody can know in the traditional sense of using the word knowledge. Like, okay, I got it, I got the picture of it. No, you cannot know, because to know is to kind of have a picture of something, and it is not a picture. So therefore, if you know something, it's a projection. You cannot know it. You cannot look at yourself. You can only look from yourself, and everything you see arises out of yourself. You cannot look. I gave the example all the time. I'm using this example. A knife can cut so many things, but it cannot cut itself, because it is one unit. Even the sharpest sword cannot injure itself, cannot cut itself. The broom can sweep so many things, but it cannot sweep itself. The scale can weigh so many things, but it cannot weigh itself, because it's one unit. Same with you. You cannot see yourself. You can only see the projections you have about yourself. You may see your self-image, your self-portrait. You may see your intentions. You may see the idea you have of who you are. But the essence itself, you cannot see. The seeing, that which sees seeing also. Yeah, that's. So don't give this to the mind, because the mind is going to go, I just can't get it. I get so far that I can see that everything can be seen. Everything can be seen. Even the fact that they can be seen is seen. But who is doing the seeing? I don't know. I said, well, who are you? Because you believe something there, an identity believes very much in itself as separate from the ultimate seer, which paradoxically is also seen in the ultimate seeing. But there's a belief, but I can't see the ultimate.
Sometimes it feels like there's like a disconnect. It's like it's really subtle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even if there's disconnection, that is also seen. And connection, reconnection, also seen. Lights out, also seen.
But so you were saying not to get too attached to trying to see the seer of that, or?
Yes, that's an idea that too much investment has gone into the idea, and the idea has created a kind of a sense of a separate entity who is going to do the looking to find the ultimate one, which itself is seen inside the ultimate seeing. We're going to close, and I want to tell you all something, and if you give me this much attention, then you may find something. Recently I said something. I said, I am, before the idea that I need to remember myself or that I could forget myself was formed in my mind. I am, before the idea that I could forget myself or that I need to remember myself was formed. I am. It is an idea that we have that we need to remember ourselves, that got cultured inside us. And because of that, we started to experience the forgetting of ourselves, which actually does not exist. There's only the self. Earlier than remembering or forgetting, it is there. That you say I is already the self. But through culture, it has become to mean the body. I am the body, I am my personality, I am my conditioning, you see. And that is the fall from grace. So we have an idea. I gave an example. When the body was born, say this body is a child, a baby born, it has no name, it has no knowledge, doesn't know anything at all. Doesn't know mother and dad, doesn't know hospital, surgeon, doesn't know anything at all, doesn't know lights, doesn't know umbilical cord, doesn't know breast, doesn't know milk, doesn't know anything at all. After a certain while, with this love and this association and a name, John. Hello, John. There's no John. Just cries and poos and sleep. Doesn't know John. Hi, John. Hi, John. At some point, the consciousness is sufficiently mature to somehow accept the name John. When it accepts the name John, okay, then it cannot forget the name John. But the baby body wasn't born with the name John on it. It could have been called Prasad or Kilimanjaro or whatever. But it was called John. And then as soon as it accepts the name John, it never can forget this name. Even if it's been in a coma and slowly waking up, so John is responding. You're riding down the road and somebody calls, John, did you need to remember your John? Did it take any time to remember him, John? No. Then how much more time do you need to remember that which holds the impression of the name John, which is consciousness, which is what you are? Before you're John, you're I. The feeling I. The feeling I am is there. I am is the name of every living being. What is your name? I am. It says, I am is one of the names of God. I am. What it means? I exist. But as what? Then the parents give you the first ignorance. You're the body. You're a boy. You wear blue, not pink. Okay? First conditioning. And then gradually, based upon the identity, I am John, I'm a boy, and like this, other conditionings can come. It's like that. The point is that what you are naturally, you simply are. Nothing can remove that. It can only somehow eclipse it. And your attention goes to live on another level of conditioning. Language also is shaped out of ignorance and unduality. But it's not a mistake of consciousness. It's a design of consciousness so that we can have this diverse field of experiencing. So when you said, when you say we are one. Yeah, that is my insight. I don't want to tell you that. I want to listen to you say that, because I know that it's not a teaching I can teach you. We are one. Sometimes I would say, but when you see, when somehow the opening of the insight comes to you, then you may say, actually, it's all the same. It's all one. But you will know not to just go saying that to everybody, because they will think you're crazy. Well, you're not, but you'll be crazy for saying it to everybody. So you learn to keep quiet about it, and you just be the one. So as you said, so I should just drop the idea of trying to kind of find out who is the one seeing it. I would say, well, if you drop that idea, you still stay as I, as the one who dropped the idea. Is it the ultimate being that dropped the idea? It's up to you, the answer will be. It necessarily has to sound like a riddle somehow. I'm sorry. I'm not making it up. But this is the twist of consciousness that creates all of this delusion in which we dream ourselves suffering. And to anti-twist is how to do it. To say that there is something that kind of like, at a certain point, it was making sense, and oops, it doesn't all make sense at all. I don't make sense at all, I says, yes. This not making sense is very important. You have to go beyond making sense. Real understanding is not making sense. It's connecting. And connecting is not necessarily making sense. It's a kind of synchronicity. Somehow, boom.
There's so many impulses to try and make that happen.
To make what happen?
Like the something.
Yeah. What you're trying to make happen has never happened. It's the one thing that never happens. Everything else is happening, but this thing is not happening. And everybody's trying to make it happen. But all these attempted happenings to make it happen is watch in that which doesn't happen. And you are that already. So only the recognition needs to happen, not you. The recognition of what is timelessly present, that is what will happen. But what is timelessly present won't happen. Just a recognition will come to the mind. And you says, awakening has happened. But awakening is only for the mind. Awakening to the truth that it is the same as that which is. That is our glory, that we cannot happen. We can only be. And the happening is all dreamed. God's dream. Amazing dream. And beautiful. Enjoy the dream, but enjoy it being awake. It's beautiful. Because it's just as beautiful and even more beautiful. Everything you say is true. But where you are establishing your identity is not true. What you say, the evidence, you see, every day we speak, and the evidence is already on our tongue that we are speaking from the truth, but we're not aware of it. You see? If you could take a day and cut it in 4 parts, 3/4 of the day you're living in no mind. You are the self, but you're not consciously the self. And of the quarter that remains of trained existence, a little portion of that is, psychological self-consciousness. And that is ruining everything. But it's kind of, it keeps a bit of, chili in the baby's porridge. So God has a great sense of humor, actually. And without which, somehow, I don't feel that the life, has to have some salt. And the whole game of transcendence become something beautiful. You may say, why all of this stuff? Why, if we're perfect, why was it perfect from the beginning? Well, actually, even in its seeming imperfection, it still remains perfect somehow. Because the story goes that we have to outgrow our projections. We have to understand somehow our original and be our original being, rather than to live in the self-portrait only. You can live in a self-portrait also, but not only. That the identity, the idea we have of who we are, it will be the lesser thing. And it will be diminishing in importance. And eventually you'll have no need even to have it playfully. They're not even needed. Very good. Satisfied or not? I know you're not satisfied, actually. It's all timing also. It's also timing. I feel all of this is a kind of timing. It's not that you have got to mature more and more. Grace matures itself in the form of each person. When it is ready, it's ready. And that sometimes you say, but I'm determined. If you are determined from the position of a person, it won't mean very much. But if grace, if life, if consciousness plays as determination, then everything will soon be finished. But if determination is coming from the human intellect and projection and psyche, it can't accomplish anything, because there's an arrogance there. The sense that I can do it. And when consciousness plays as arrogance, then it moves about like moving in sludge. It won't move with grace and flow. Everything you say is true. But still something holds on to the position of a sense of a person. And that also is seen. And you yourself admit it, that also is seen. But I still want to know who is the seer. But to know who is the seer, you see, that knowledge will have to be conceptual. You mustn't know who the seer, you must be the seer. Not know who the seer is. Knowing who the seer is ignorance. Being the seer is wisdom. Do you follow? Yeah. Knowing who the seer is just another kind of knowledge which means nothing to you, has no power. You see? But being the seer, being confirmed that, but I am the seer. But the seer cannot be seen. I am the seer, but the seer cannot be seen. Why cannot the seer be seen? Because it is beyond quality. Then how do you know? I am the seer. Or I am the seeing. Because if the seer cannot be seen, maybe there's no seer, there's just the seeing. But we are so much accustomed to identify with object that we feel that, if I lose my objectness, then I'm going to be thinned out into the infinite, and it's not very attractive. I'd rather keep my shape, so at least I can be me. And somehow, the more I go into this, the less I'm finding that I am this. And nothing is wrong with this. Thank you for this, because this allows what I am to enjoy experiencing. The body gives a chance to taste experiencing. Thanks for the privilege, for the opportunity to experience. But also, I experience experiencing. This is just to know. It's not to come out of some dark hole. No, it's to know. Then when you realize that the world is a dream, you don't want to kill it and destroy. No, you see that actually, how is the world? Well, any way you like to think it is. I say, the world is not what you think it is. The world is exactly what you think it is. The world is not what you think it is. The world becomes exactly what you think it is. Who understands where these two statements meet? So we're not going to leave here now with a collection of knowledge or something, but more somehow an emptying. The mind wants to build up. But understanding is more like a laxative. Everything is going. In the end, you're not left with a sore bottom. You are just bottomless, actually. Excuse my examples. But a chance to be in that emptiness without the projection of the mind's emptiness, which creates a kind of fear in the being. Real emptiness. Yeah. Which is not a stupidness. It is itself life. Very good. Thank you. One more thing before we go. There is a sense that in being present in a sort of space like this, where we're looking so nicely, so deeply into the inner being, sometimes, like the mind, it seems, plays in this game like like a kind of enemy to the seeing somehow. That maybe some of our deepest conditioning rise up to kind of to keep our attention, in a state of personhood and my life and what's going to happen and all these fears. We say the mind, but the mind is doing this also with our cooperation, because it's not entirely separate. We are also a mind, and also we are apart from the mind. So somehow in all of this, sometimes you may find that like so much doubts and fears come up. But I want to tell you that if and when they do, they have been doing this for thousands of years in the domain of real introspection and soul searching. It will come. And when it comes, that you know ahead of time, it will feel like this, and you'll feel, oh my God, I can't go this road, it's too difficult. All of this becomes part of the mind. but it passes. And then if you hold your ground in this emptiness or this undivided perceiver, you will notice that sometimes just spontaneously it vanishes, and the most deep peace and silence and joy is also present. And then again, the serpent will be up. And you're just to hold your stillness. Don't panic. Just remember that grace brought you to your seeing. Life, God, brings you to your seeing. And just don't try and look for weapons to fight the mind. The only weapon that can subdue the mind is wisdom and emptiness. And that's it. It will. Each time you don't react and identify like this, because somehow the mind in its psychological aspect, it gets energized by resistance and by doubts and fears. It's like the food for this psychological or dark energy of mind. And when you hold your ground, you will overcome, transcend this hypnotic spell. When you are in your true ascendance of seeing, then the mind will somehow switch sides, start to support your seeing. But don't hold your breath. Don't be waiting. Just stay like that. Everyone who has re-entered through the door of their own self have gone through these moments, these shadows, walked through the valley of the shadow of death, like we say. And the saying goes, but I will fear no evil because you are with me. You, the pure being, the God, the true. Until you come to see you're not two, but you are one harmony. While we have the sense of being a person, the feeling of God's presence will be with you to guide you, support you, until you come to see that you are not separate. Very good. We are going to have a song today, or what? Anybody? Somebody outside is coming, or what? Okay. Song of silence today. Then we'll just take a minute just to sit